What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy J Pow, and for this episode of Powcast, we are going to be talking about one of my favorite TV shows that you may or may not know of. You probably do, more than likely. It's called The Office, if you haven't already been able to tell. Now, this show is a comedy, but it is great for so much more than a comedy. It has a bunch of dynamic characters. They change, like, the characters you see in season 1 are basically not even the same characters you see in season 9. It has just the best dialogue ever, the best attention to detail I've ever seen in a TV show. Just the way that the characters look at each other and just the eye contact and the background, like what goes on in the background, the little things each character does that may not make sense at first, but eventually it will. Now, the reason I wanted to do a podcast about The Office is because recently I've seen each episode about 4 times, but I saw a theory on Instagram, and that made me want to watch it again, so I rewatched it all, and I did notice something. The theory is that Toby, who is the HR rep, could possibly be the Scranton Strangler. The Scranton Strangler is a serial killer in The Office who obviously goes around strangling people. Now, the reason people are thinking that that Toby could possibly be the Scranton Strangler is because Toby got selected to be on the jury for the Scranton Strangler, and he was one of the ones who voted him guilty and to go to prison. And then Toby started feeling guilty about it, saying that he got the wrong guy in prison, that it's not how it's supposed to be. Then he did little weird stuff, like he wouldn't stop talking about the jury or the trial. He wouldn't stop, like he started getting skinny and just withering away, basically. He wouldn't go into a church during a wedding or during a crucible or whatever. I forgot what it's called. Christening, not crucible. I don't know where I got that from. He wouldn't go in the church, and then after everything was over, he walked in and said, "Why you gotta be so mean to me?" to God. And he visited the Scranton Strangler in prison, and he came out with a strangled neck. And people are saying that the reason he felt so guilty about it is because he is the Scranton Strangler, and he got the wrong guy in prison, and he's doing time for it, and he's feeling guilty about all the crimes he's committed and murders and all of that. And that's why he won't go into church. He did something like when the new CEO wanted to take the staff to a lunch, he picked certain people, and Toby was there, and they were all making jokes and stuff, and Toby just got up and said, "I'm not supposed to be here, just pretend I'm not here," and just left and never explained why. Toby also just does little weird stuff, like you can tell he's kind of obsessed with Pam a little bit, and then he accidentally touches her knee and then goes to Costa Rica for a while until he breaks his neck, which also kind of, to me, it might be symbolic for him being the Scranton Strangler because he broke his neck. That might be kind of like foreshadowing him, hurting other people's necks. I don't know, that might be a stretch. It probably is. But also, like, there's one scene where the Scranton Strangler is being chased by the police, and everybody's watching it on Toby's computer, and Toby's not even there, and then the car that they see being chased by the police was also seen in another episode in the parking lot of Dunder Mifflin. They're saying it could be Toby's car, and also when they are watching the police chase, they are at Toby's desk watching it, and the phone rings, and then Kelly picks it up and then puts it back down. When people who created this theory are saying that could have been Toby trying to call and admit and confess to his peers at work what he's done. I don't know how accurate that is, but I did go back and watch, and the car that was in the chase scene was also in the parking lot of Dunder Mifflin, so that could also very much support that theory. And apart from like just the little details like that, just the way the characters change is also just insane. Like, we'll start off with Jim. He in the beginning episodes, he was this cool guy who really kind of slacked off his work and focused more on pranking his coworker Dwight and flirting. And then once he got married to Pam and had a child, you could tell his focus was really on work and trying to impress his boss and moving forward in life instead of just continuing to be the same old Jim that he always is. He still pranks Dwight, but it's not as often, and it's not as, it's not as big as a prank as the other ones are. Pam changes. She used to be the shy little receptionist, and once she kind of broke up with Roy, she kind of started to speak her mind and I just can't speak right now. Kind of started to say things the way that she wanted to say them and she wanted to do. Michael, when he started off in season 1, he wasn't as lovable and likable. He was more of just a jerk. And then season 2 came around and they kind of turned him into more of a likable, lovable character, kind-hearted. Ryan, he started off as the temp of the company, went to business school, got promoted to Michael's boss, and then kind of got into fraud and drugs, and then started working at a bowling alley and then he dyed his hair, and then he kind of turned into this little, hip-hopster guy, and then he turned into a hipster, and then, who else? Toby changes. He was the shy guy, and then he just gets weird, the theory about the Scranton Strangler thing. Kelly is probably another really big changing character. She started off kind of like an Indian version of Pam. She never talked, she never did anything, and then by season 6, she was like this fashionista who, knew everything about, fashion and was really super talkative and everything. Dwight was kind of one of the only characters who kind of stayed the same throughout the show. His biggest change was he kind of became less of a kiss-up towards the last couple seasons. That's about it, as far as I can see. Oscar stayed the same. Angela stayed the same. Kevin stayed the same. I'm trying to think of another. Phyllis kind of was another Pam version, where when she got married and started dating Bob Vance Refrigeration, she became less shy and kind of spoke her mind. Andy Bernard, he started off as basically like this big frat party guy, and once he moved over to the Scranton branch, he kind of became a kiss-up and, kind of more likable than he was originally, because he was kind of like a version of Michael Scott. He just was like, he just wanted to see people happy, and then once he became boss, things started going downhill for him. He went on this 3-month unexplained boat trip, and then just once he started dating Erin after he fought so long to be with her, he just kind of left her for some reason. That's about it as far as character change I can see. Stanley just, stayed the same. Daryl, he kind of, his ambitions were, Daryl's kind of stayed the same, but then again, his story changed. So if you like The Office, let me know. If you have any theories or thoughts about The Office, go ahead and let me know in the comments. If you like this and want more of it, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. And if you want to see a part 2 where I can talk about some of the stuff that you guys want to talk about in the comments, go ahead and let me know. And I will see you guys in my next video. Goodbye.